Hello, teacher. Hello, classmates. My name is Paula Morales, and this is my card identification. So I'm gonna start today talking about citing sources. So let's get started with the plagiarism. The definition is of plagiarism is the action of copying information from any sources like books, website, online books, researchers, blogs, etc., that belongs to another author and appropriating it as your own. That means plagiarism. So it can be international or uninternational, but both cases are disciplinary offense. Okay, so when a writer wants to use some other information from other sources, he or she must use a quotation or paraphrases and mention the original author by proper citation. So I'm going to talk about this later with more details. Also, on the contrary, it will be considered as a plagiarism and an academic offense. So we have some plagiarism that we can mention as very important information. So the first one, we have the copy and paste information. It means to literally just copy all the information and paste everything exactly and do not mention that the original source is from other author. So it could be copied from a website, book, or source. The number two is self-auto-plagiarism. That means to copy your own work. For example, if you have already done your work or your homework before and you want to resume the same, you cannot do it. If you do it, this is considered as self-auto-plagiarism. The number three is collusion. That this kind of plagiarism is considered like when two or more students have the same homework and the assignment was designed only for one individually, this is a collusion when two or more students have the same homework. Okay, the number four is cloning. It means to copy everything exactly, but only change the author's name. Okay, the number five is mosaic. It means to copy information from different sources, like different websites, and put all together, creating just one document. The number six is remix. This kind of plagiarism is almost the same as mosaic, but here is paragraphing some parts. Okay, number seven is find and replace. So this use of different words like synonyms, but the rest is the same. Okay, it means to copy and make small changes. Number eight is verbatim, that it means to copy the transcription of a song, of a podcast, a YouTube video, etc. Okay, so let's continue with the next part, that is the importance of text citation for academic honesty. It helps us to give credit and show respect to the authors, avoid copyright or plagiarism, as I said before, and legal punishments. Also, it helps us to show a clear and deep information with your work. It helps to reinforce the essay or research as a professional. Next, we have in-text citation APA 7th edition, that it means American Psychological Association. Okay, this is used by most of professionals and fields like science, education, medicine, engineering, etc. So as the definition that we can see over here is in-text citation is the mention that a writer makes to show that the information that he or she is using belongs to another author. This author's names and year are added at the beginning or at the end of the paragraph. And the purpose is demonstrate where the informations come from and help the reader to find easily to the other source in the in-text citation. Okay, so let's continue with the rules that it is very important to know. These rules is based on the APA 7th edition. So it can be as parenthetical in-text citation when you mention the author at the end of the text. Okay, for example, in this case, we use the parentheses and Morales, comma, 2025. On the other side, we have narrative citation that it goes at the beginning of the text. For example, according to Morales, and then the parenthesis 2025 states that, and then you can continue um, paraphrasing the information. For this part, you can use some natural verbs that as discuss, report, say, state, or also you can use verbs that indicate persuasion, like claim, suggest, assert. Okay, it is also going to depend if it is only one author, two authors, or more than two, that's three, four, or more authors. Okay, if it is only one author, it is mentioned at the last name of the author and the year. For example, Morales 2025 states that, or first the text, and at the end of the text, you can say Morales, comma, 2025. But be aware that when it's at the end, the parenthesis, in the parenthesis goes the last name, comma, and the year. Okay? If it is more than one author, it is mentioning the last names of the two authors and the year. For example, Morales and Tivan, parenthesis 2025, states that, and you can continue explaining the information. Or at the end, you can also use all the text, all the information, and at the end, you can add Morales and Tivan, comma, 2025, period. And what happens if there are more than two authors? It is mentioned only the last name of the first author and it all. As you can see, is ATAL period, et al. Plus the year. Okay, so the example says Morales et al. It means that if there are more than 3, 4, 5 authors, okay? So the example says Morales et al. Parenthesis 2025 state that, and you can continue with all the information. On the other side, you can also first explain all information and at the end put the parenthesis and the last name of the first author, in this case is Morales, et al., comma, and the year 2025, close parenthesis and period. Okay, let's continue with the next part that, as you can see, a clear example of a good, correct citation. It was the same that I was explaining you before. So we have parenthetical in-text citation. So we have an example. So we can first explain all the information and at the end put the name of the author. Or we can, as a narrative citation, we can say according to Morales, in this case, 2025, and then explain all the information. As you can see, this is the correct way to make citation. However, we can also see an incorrect citation. So pay attention that, for example, in the parenthetical in-text citation, we have Morales and the initial of the first name. Then in this case is P and period. So that is not good. That is not correct. So avoid to do that because that is wrong. Okay, the same in narrative citation. We have an incorrect citation example that it is using Morales, comma, and the initial of the name, period. So that is not correct. So avoid to use that because it is going to be wrong. It is going to be wrong. So let's continue with the APA 7th in text citation formats. So we have paraphrasing. It means when it is the information that the writer took from other sources, but it is used with his or her own words. It must be the same meaning but different words. Okay, and on the other side, we have quoting, that it is the information that the writer took from other sources, and it is exactly the same information. It must be used with quotation marks. Okay? So as you can see, we have a clear example about paraphrase and quote directly with correct citation. Okay, so this is part of a textbook about the Mountain Everest problem that they had. So my example is as paraphrased with an in-text citation said, most Everest officials and citizens of Kathmandu have found a solution that implied to follow three important steps to protect the environmental problem. First, trash cans made by stone have been installed along the paths. Second, a high fine for those who throw trash. Third, move all the trash to the city and recycle there. Then I put period and I cite the author of this work, that in this case is false. There were three authors, so that's what I put, et al, comma, 2024. Okay, so this is an example. And also we have another example as quote directly with correct citation. In this case, I copy and paste a part of this paragraph, and this is exactly what it says in the paragraph, but I use quotation marks. And at the end, I put the name's author, the last name, and also et al, because of course, they are three authors, comma, 2024, and the page of the book where this paragraph is located. Okay? And then this is my resume. How can plagiarism be prevented? Plagiarism can be prevented by choosing two ways, quotation or paraphrasing. The first one is used with quotation marks when the information is not too long. It is very important to mention the name of the author or source using some connectors like according to. Also, avoid using a lot of quotation in the same paragraph. The second one is used with your own words, which means paraphrasing. Unlike the quotation, it does not use quotation marks. Also, you must still mention the original source. In addition, to avoid any type of plagiarism, it is important to use the in-text citation to mention the author's name and the year of the research correctly. Finally, as an academic writer, you should list all authors in the references section, which also must follow some rules depending on the citation style that can be Chicago, MLA, APA, or CSE. This information I took from Vivanco 2021. This is my paraphrasing, like a resume that all the information that I read, and I write it and put it here. Okay. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.